what we had in our old fashioned was none other than Buffalo Trace, which again surprises me that we have not had them on the show before.
Yeah.
Not had them. We haven't had them on the show, but we haven't reviewed them on the show.
Right.
But you did mention, and it just is a thing for some reason, it is harder to find in Iowa.
It is, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you haven't heard, we did mention this last week when we gave you guys a heads up of what we're drinking. We need to start at the beginning of the show. Reminds me to like remind our listeners the next several weeks of whiskey, because
remind the listeners.
Yes.
I was going to do it at the end of the show, but
I think it's better to do it at the beginning. I don't know. Whatever.
I'm going to do it in both.
But if you haven't heard, Buffalo Trace was recently flooded due to like they've gotten heavy rains in the area.
Yeah.
Most importantly, no whiskey was lost.
Yes.
Or damaged in the flooding. They did. I think they lost some merch though. Got damaged.
Their merch store was half
whiskey,
under.
All safe. It's good. They're not having a whiskey shortage.
That's right.
But with all that going on, we thought it would be a good time to do a review on Buffalo Trace, not Chase. Holy crap. Especially because we haven't done them on the show before, and we haven't found a bottle in a while, and we have one.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the area that the distillery is at was discovered in 1771 by Daniel Boone, who was at a town called Leestown along the Buffalo Trace Trail. Then in 1811,
that was a while ago, by the way.
I wasn't here, so it was a while ago.
I was, but it was a while ago, man.
Then skipping ahead in the timeline here, in 1811, a 3-story warehouse was built to, store goods, which included whiskey that was waiting shipment via the Kentucky River that it was built right on. Fast forward like 40 years-ish, 45 years. I'm not doing math here for you guys. In 1858, a small distillery was developed by Daniel Swigert. I don't even know if that's right. You guys know me in names. I butcher them. Even if I know them, I still butcher them.
It's not Shuck. We know that.
It's not Shuck. So, but he was using, using the warehouse.
Yeah.
And in 1870, Colonel Edmund Haynes Taylor Jr., it's a big name for you.
Yeah.
Purchased the distillery and named it OFC, which was
of fucking course.
Of course. Oh, sorry,
right?
Fucking course.
Fucking course.
This was in reference to old-fashioned copper.
I thought you were going to say football, but
nope. That would not be the C. It would be OFF. Come on. It was believed that the finest whiskey came from old-fashioned wood-fired copper stills. If you're familiar with whiskey, you know that E.H. Taylor bourbon is highly sought after still today.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. 2 years later, Colonel E.H. Taylor invested $70,000 to build a new distillery on the site. Now, remember, this is 1872. That was a lot of money. And then just 6 years after that, in 1878, the OFC distillery was purchased by George T. Stagg, along with the farm next to it. Taylor was still kept on, though, to oversee operations. And again, you mentioned Colonel Taylor and how E.H. Taylor is a sought-after bourbon. George T. Stagg, another whiskey name that's very sought after. In 1882, lightning hit the distillery and a great fire burned the entire thing to the ground. However, it was rebuilt very quickly with insurance proceeds plus another $44,000 additional dollars.
This guy was loaded,
right?
So
especially in those days,
money was not an option.
In 1886,
not a problem. It was definitely an option.
Money was an option. It was not a problem. In 1886, steam heating system for the warehouse was installed, making it the first distillery to use steam heat, which they still use today. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. We're in the timeline right now. We're only in 1897 right here. Like there is so much history, and it's needed to take the time to go over it.
Yes.
So in 1897, this 16-year-old joins the company as an office boy.
Yeah. I don't think you can call him that anymore, right?
I don't know. Office boy. But
come here, office boy.
He was named Albert B. Blanton.
Oh, I know that name.
Yes. And then in 1900, he was appointed as stillhouse, warehouse, and bottling superintendent. Then in 1904, the distillery was renamed to the George T. Stagg Distillery. Let's
Nice.
move up like 15 years. I think I did the math right this time. In 1919.
The math is mathing.
It is mathing. When Prohibition hit, the George T. Stagg Distillery received a permit to bottle medicinal whiskey, and they were permitted to produce whiskey during the Prohibition.
Yeah, which we've learned through doing the history on these. There were very few that were given both.
I mean, do you think it had anything to do with all that money floating around? Probably. That's what I'm going to say.
No, we are going to do medicinal whiskey.
Oh, you know money is an option for me.
Right.
So is distilling whiskey. So, but yeah, so they got that permit to bottle the medicinal whiskey. Then in 1921, Albert Blanton, no longer the office boy, became the president of the distillery. And then
our boy Blanton moved up.
He did.
Yeah.
I wonder if he had money. Probably not at 16.
Not as an office boy.
Not as an office boy. In 1929, it was then purchased by the Shenley Distillers Corporation. Shenley?
I think it's Shenley.
Yeah, no, it's Shenley. Sorry. Distillers Corporation.
Trying to get a little fancy with your pronunciations.
Fast forward to 4 years later. We're not really fast forwarding. It was 4 years later. It's a blink of an eye. Prohibition ended, and only 4 distilleries in Kentucky were capable of producing whiskey, and the Stagg Distillery being one of them.
Yeah, which is huge, obviously. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the reasons that they stuck around for so long, I would say. As they continued to grow in 1935, they built Warehouse H, which is the distillery's only metal warehouse and the first of 7 new warehouses built before World War II. In 1937, a great flood crested 17 feet above the power plant.
Flooding today. Flooding is like a thing in the history of this distillery.
Yeah. Well, and it was 4 feet above Warehouse H, which I think is, 1937 it flooded. There have been floods since then. This is one of the reasons why they didn't lose any whiskey this time.
They know how to protect the goods.
Yes,
they know what to prepare for.
Absolutely.
No whiskey will be lost in the floods.
Yeah. And in 1949, Elmer T. Lee joins the distillery. So now we have Colonel E.H. Taylor, George T. Stagg, Albert Blanton, and Elmer T. Lee.
Not Elmer Fudge.
Not Elmer Fudd.
Fudge.
All
that happened.
Yeah. All whiskeys that are still made by the distillery today, very sought after whiskeys, all thought of as very good whiskeys as well.
I can't believe I did that. Actually, I can.
I can.
Me and names. So let's go all the way to 1984. Because let's do it. Because while the distillery was just kind of trucking along, making whiskey, there weren't any major issues or additions. Floods weren't impacting them. But in 1984, they introduced the Bourbon Blantons, which was the world's first single barrel bourbon.
Which I didn't know that. Did you know that they were the first?
I did not.
Barrel?
I didn't. So I haven't really done my history lesson on Blantons.
Yeah.
This is giving us a good preview of it. I don't think we haven't released the month of May, but I wanted to do Top Shelf May.
Yes.
And I wanted us to bring these top shelf whiskeys
for ones we had
onto the show and do a review. And we have some very strong opinions on some of these bottles of whiskey that people they're very sought after. People spend a lot of money on.
Yeah.
And just from everything we've tried on our show, I'm not saying they're not good, but they're not some of our favorites.
Right.
But Top Shelf May is coming, and I think we're going to do a review of Blanton's next month then.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick interruption for you. Shout out to Jamie. Thank you for joining, Jamie.
Yes,
if you're looking for some fantasy football stuff, because we're doing a little bit of it, but we're just talking a football overview, betting, and whiskey. You can check out his podcast with Kyle Senra, who has been on our show before, in about an hour at the Fantasy Six Pack, talking rookie quarterback. So if you want some more information on some of those guys that Colby and I and Miranda talked about, you can check them out there.
All right. So leaving off from where we left off, we're in 1992 now.
We were both born then.
What?
We were both born then.
I wasn't born in 92, but I was alive.
No. That's what I meant. Sorry. We were both alive then.
I just spilled the
party foul.
I know. This is bad. So we're in 1992. The distillery, finally returned to a family-owned business after being purchased by the Sazerac Company. In 1999, the distillery renovations are completed and it's renamed to the Buffalo Trace Distillery. They also launched their flagship brand, Buffalo Trace. And then, so that's 99. And just a year later in 2000, the distillery is awarded Whiskey Advocates Distillery of the Year, the first American distillery to win the international award.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. So in the meantime, like, I mean, they've won a lot of different awards in the whiskey
Windy
industry.
City?
Yeah. in the
Speaking of Chicago
industry. And in 2013, the Buffalo Trace Distillery was named as a National Historic Landmark. We make our distilleries our landmarks. They are important.
It may be more the location.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, there's not many distilleries that have been around for that long. Jamie wanting to know, is that Elmer guy the same that created the glue and thanked us for the history lesson? It is not, but close.
Yes.
Not many Elmers out there as historic figures.
And no Elmer fudges that I know of. So let's talk about, I can't believe I spilled this on the desk here. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about
nice things.
I could say the same about you
I'm
for
not
things,
spilling
not
whiskey
spilling
on
about
your-
other stuff. Anyway, don't get on me. Let's talk about Buffalo Trace Bourbon specifically.
Mhm.
It's named for the buffalo that carved paths through the wilderness that led American pioneers and explorers to the new frontiers. And one of those trails led to the banks of the Kentucky River, where we just talked about that the distillery was first built. So, in a tribute to the mighty buffalo and the independent spirit of the pioneers who followed them, they created the Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon.
Yeah. Now, why don't you give it a little sniff? Start building our
sniff the desk.
Start building our nose score. I'm going to answer Serial. Who's the next Iowa tight end in the pipeline? We got Luke Lachey in this draft. Lachey. Now that's a guy that I think the Bears should look at later round. Fourth, fifth maybe round
for a future.
Grab him, and he's a good blocker because he's an Iowa tight end, and he can catch the ball as well. So I mean, that's a guy that you can mold into Ben Johnson's offense because you've already molded one Iowa tight end. So, anyways, let's talk about the nose here.
It's sweet.
Yeah. So for me, you got caramel and oak. It's the traditional bourbon smell.
It is a very traditional bourbon smell, but it's very sweet.
Yeah. It doesn't it's not bad. It is a good smell, but it's not something unique.
Like you can definitely you smell it and you know it's bourbon. Like it is a dead giveaway for bourbon.
100%.
This is what bourbon is based on.
Yeah, 100%.
So have you tried it already?
Yeah, I actually, when you were talking about the history, I was just so enthralled by it that I was sipping, and I had to pour a little bit more. But why don't you talk about it while I'm tasting it?
It's good. It's just a very good, well-rounded bourbon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's caramely. One of the things I've noticed recently, because we wanted to do some comparing of some of the more sought after bourbons or bourbons with the reputation of having that consistent profile for bourbon. It's not bourbon being made at a small craft distillery.
Right.
And I think we've gotten spoiled with trying all these bourbons from these smaller distilleries who are getting these awesome barrels that they're finishing their bourbons and their rye in.
And specialty corn.
Their heirloom corns that they're trying out. Like people are getting really creative with their whiskey. And so I've developed a palate for looking for that complexity of the whiskey.
And this doesn't necessarily have complexity.
But it's not bad. No. I'm not going to turn this down.
Right.
It's good. It just, when I'm describing it now, it's like when I describe certain things, it's like, oh, well, that's like it's a traditional normal bourbon, normal bourbon.
And I do want to shout out the chat in a second here. But one thing I want to say is finish can be taken two ways. It can be what you taste on the finish. And it can also be just how long those flavors, even on the palate, stick with you. This has a really long finish. Like I can still taste it, even though I just drank it. I like that about it. I would, spoiler alert, pick this over Blanton's any day.
I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't want to say it.
Well, I'm going to
But
say
I guess
it.
we're saying it right now.
I saw this at Come and Go, which is our gas stations. If
This
you
is the
don't have
second time
them,
we referred to Come and Go on the show.
yeah,
And
I saw them at the Come and Go
let's-
for $26. Blanton's is going for what, 100 roughly? I would
we're
buy.
finding it for 100 if you can find it. We finally, I shouldn't say finally, but we saw it here in town for $100.
Yeah,
A few years ago, I found it for $65, so I didn't turn that down.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Serial saying party foul equals finished drink, so you got some drinking to do. Kathy saying Go Hawks. Luke Leachy is a good one to watch, and Jamie, thank you. It's sweet, just like J Mark.
Well, he's not wrong.
Look at you now. You're like, you knew I was going to cook your dinner tonight, so now you got to throw in some
You're
sweet
gonna
things.
after this podcast, you're starting up the grill.
Fire up the grill, everybody. If you're looking for a way to support us, don't forget we got all sorts of different merch. We don't get any funds from this. I would lower the prices and give it away for free if I could, but it does let the guys that run the company know, like, hey, we like this place so much, we want to wear them. So wear us.
Can you? That's gonna be our new just our.
We're
gonna do our own ad read, and we're gonna say, "Wear us. You
Wear
like
us.
us? Wear us."
Absolutely.
I've got to stop myself.
This is a solid. It's a solid bourbon.
It is a solid one. I actually kind of like it better on its own than in the old fashioned. Maybe because my cube melted. You gave me a giant cube and it's warm in here and it melted. When you
drink faster,
I shouldn't say
I still got a
you
cube
gave
in
me
mine.
a big cube this time because
It's your
the
favorite
big
cubes.
Well, no, the big cubes normally make it. They last. This melted and
let the record show. I've been told, why are you using these small cubes? We have big cubes, and now I'm being told you use this big cube.
This is an example of no matter what you do, you're always going to be wrong.
Right? Yeah. And you're always going to be wrong no matter what you say.
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is a solid bourbon. It's not a necessarily smack you in the face standout bourbon, but it is a solid one.
Do you want your bourbon to smack you in the face?
Sometimes.
Is that what you're into?
I want something that wows me. And this isn't bad, but it doesn't wow me necessarily.
But it's good.
Yeah.
And it's always one of the things about these bigger distilleries too, it's always going to be consistent.
That is a great thing about a big distillery. It will be consistent. Yeah. You're always going to get the same thing out of every bottle, for sure. Put you on the spot for the palate. 1 through 5, you can use points.
I was like, I thought we did our profile. I forgot.
1 through 5, you can use like 3.4 or something. Do you have a quick judge score? It doesn't have to be the one you stick with right now, but just off the top of your head. I will tell you, I mean, it's hard to diss the bottle because it's very recognizable with the Buffalo, but there's nothing super unique about it.
The bottle's a 1.
The bottles. I wasn't going to go that harsh, but that's fine.
It's a 1. What is the scale? 1 to what?
1 to 5.
1 to 5. It's a 1.
Okay.
I mean,
nothing super unique. Minus
there's no.
The label looks like the Buffalo's tearing through, kinda. I don't know.
No,
I wasn't going to go that
low.
It's
a basic bottle. It does have a little bit of nice shape to it. Okay, fine. It's a 2, 1.5. Because I know what a 1 would be, and this is a little bit above a 1.
Yeah, I have to change what we're talking about real quick. Jamie just got an alert that says Aaron Rodgers is likely going to retire if he can't sign with a Super Bowl team.
What Super Bowl team is going to sign Aaron Rodgers? That's what I want to know.
Agreed. That's what I would say too if nobody wanted me. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to retire unless, like the Chiefs or the Bills want me.
Are the Chiefs going to replace Mahomes with
I mean, the
Aaron
Super Bowl,
Rodgers?
The teams that are likely going to be Super Bowl relevant this year or be fighting for Super Bowl chances, they already got their quarterback.
Exactly.
I mean, the Mahomes, the Bills, or the Allens, the Lamar Jacksons,
the Mahomes, the Bills,
the Jalen Hurts is
he's like trying to put himself on the same level as the Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, and he's not. He is an old quarterback, and he's not going to a Super Bowl, so he should retire.
Actually, some guy got mad at me for calling Aaron Rodgers washed, and his argument was that his stats were just about the same as Mahomes. If you watch Aaron Rodgers play last year, and then you watch Mahomes play last year, and you think that they're close to equal, you are fucking out of your mind. I am sorry, but you are. Anyways.
I would love to be that old in football. Is he older than me? How old is Rogers?
He's older than you.
Okay, I thought he looks. I mean, we're not gonna go there. I feel like he looks older than me. He looks older than you.
He's 41. He is
Okay,
older
he's
than me.
older. So
Barely,
you don't get
but
to be
he's older.
that old and be like at the end of your career and be like, well, I will still play if you like. He's not winning a Super Bowl. What gives him the right to be put on a team that has Super Bowl chances?
And his body's been failing him anyways.
Yeah.
Like he keeps getting injured. Yeah, get out of here.
He can leave. He can
1
go
through 5
sit in the dark.
1 through 5 flavor.
When
you sit down and really think about it, we can change it, but just a quick judge, what would
3.
you put it at? That's exactly where I was. It's not bad. It's not
right in the middle.
blowing
It's
my mind.
Gonna be reliable. It's meeting expectations.
Yeah.
We just got done with animal performance reviews.
Annual?
You
said animal.
I said annual.
I don't think you did.
Annual
we'll clip that
reviews.
and see, but I thought you said animal performance.
No. So let's just call it a 3 and you're meeting expectations. You're not going above and beyond. You're not wowing me.
I'm sorry. I can see you on a video call with your employee and you're like, let's see your best giraffe.
Stop. All right. This is going off the rails.
So they only have a 4 out of 20 from you and only 2 to go for scores right now.
What?
They have a 4 out of 20 points from you.
A 4.5. I moved the bottle up to a 1.5.
Okay. They have a 4.5 out of 20.
I'm going to say a 3 across the board.
Okay.
Aside from the bottle. The bottle disappoints me. I'm not walking down the aisle. You've got to grab my attention.
Yeah.
I want to put you on my whiskey shelf.
This is why.
Like, do you know what I mean?
This is why I will bump it up just because of the recognizability. You're going to see it and you're going to like, oh, Buffalo Trace, because you see the Buffalo.
But that's not like, I think of like, we tried Belfour more recently and that bottle is sexy.
Oh, yeah.
It is like decanter sexy.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's a 5. Do you have it up here? Oh my gosh, you do.
Yeah, that is a bottle.
That's
if you want to do a
bottle.
bottle right, that's the way to do it.
And like, look at how thick the stopper is, the top, like everything about it. Turn it. There's it's stamped on the wood, on the top, the top
on the wood.
right here, up here.
Oh, got it.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much that went into this bottle, and
there it is. Ed Belfour knows how to do this.
Yes,
that's all.
So, the Buffalo Trace bottle can't compare to that. So it is a 1.5. Like, I'm not even going to say that it's meeting expectations. My expectations are that's a sexy bottle.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I agree.
I'm done. Just cut me off. We're done.
Jamie heard animal.
Jamie, you couldn't just lie for me.
One last thing before we get out of here. You and I had the discussion about Justin Fields being a top 12 fantasy football quarterback. You said no. I said yes. I polled the Twitters.
And they say yes.
47% said yes. 41% said no. 12% said more in the 12 to 15 range, which is basically a no. So more people aligned with you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I disagree, though. I still think we'll see. That'll be a good side bet we got going. And yeah, anything else you want to add? Because
I said let's keep it to. We had fun though. We had a great guest on. We talked a lot of like I said, a wealth of information. It's absolutely true. Like I learned so much every time.
Yeah.
He talks about his college football guys.
Colby does. If you are into college football, he does previews in preseason, like before the season starts, on every single team, and that includes FCS teams. There's like I don't know, 250 to 300 teams that he does previews on. He gives the same amount of time to Ohio State as he does Montana State, because the dude loves college football and he just knows these players so well. That's why I like getting him on before the draft to talk a little sense, because you see a lot of shit these days on like who's going to go where and this player's the best, this player's not, and all that stuff. So love having Colby on, love getting his perspective. Plus he's just a fun dude to hang out with. But yeah, anything else you want to add besides a thank you to Colby? I mean, we appreciate him.
Yeah. What are we doing next week? Are we doing the old fashioned?
Not. So I thought about this.
You changed my order?
Only because it's the draft. We're going to be reacting to the draft live. There's not a lot of time to add in whiskey, and that's going to be such a long thing anyways, that I say we push the Kirkland's Costco's Old Fashioned RTD to the next week so we can give it actual time.
What was the last one we picked?
The last one was Knob Creek. We can push that.
So we're going to push that to June.
Yeah. Yep. So, next
June
week
is our summer whiskeys. That kind of works just because of the name. Going kayaking, Knob Creek.
Oh,
I don't know. It's kayak
so the
season.
knobs in summer. I don't know.
No, just we're done.
Thank you all for showing up. It always
Mhm.
means a ton to us. Don't forget to leave us a review on Apple, on Spotify. Share the YouTube to your friends so they can subscribe. All that stuff helps us a ton, and we appreciate it. You know, we want to be worth sticking around for. So thank you for sticking
Yes,
around. Basically,
thank you.
Yeah, Miranda, your old fashioned's got some work, but mine is almost gone. Going once, going twice.
Sold.